It's 4 o'clock, so we're going to get started. Welcome, everyone, to this Learning Lives Forever virtual event. This is an initiative that we started back during COVID as a way to reach out to alumni, and it's been such an effective way to reach alumni, especially with former professors like Rhea and Peggy, and we're so thrilled that they're willing to present. So we will record, this is being recorded, it will be posted on the SGU alumni website under Learning Lives Forever, and just watch for that. And Peggy and Rhea, we'll turn it over to you to get started.
Hey, you go first. We're done. Nice to see y'all. Hey, we're glad you're here, and we're kind of glad to be here. We'll be more happy in a minute. That's right. For those that don't know us, I'm Peggy Wittwer. And I'm Rhea Gubler. Taught for 20 plus years here and 12 plus years in the Iron County School District, and assistant principal, science camps. Anyway, did a lot of things when I was here.
I taught for 45 years, and I joke that I reinvented
Holy
myself.
cow.
I had to reinvent myself many times just to survive that long. And I had 10 years part-time, probably one of the favorite parts of my career, teaching preschool in one class. And then after that, it was just all bets are off, just a little bit of everything.
Yep.
So
generalists, I think you could call us generalists.
Mm-hmm.
When we were looking at what wisdom we could pass on to you guys, we talked a lot. We pulled up a lot of picture books. We talked about funny stories that we had. We talked about some sad stories that we had. We've talked about how education has changed. So we want this to be as interactive as you want it to be. So please chime in with a question. If we say something that you want to know more about, we're here to help you. This first slide says, ready to conquer the new school year with my teacher BFF. Always have a BFF. Rhea and I grew up in southern Utah, different towns. We didn't know each other until we got into the same department. And then we became BFFs to help each other through the years.
it was kind of funny. We actually were freshmen here at the same time, lived in the same apartment. We knew of each other, but we really had nothing to do with each other until the last, 10, 15 years. But it's been a good thing for us.
It's been awesome. So in talking about what can we pass on to you, when I first started teaching, everything was a problem. Oh, I've got to get the roll done. I've got to get that curriculum created. I've got to write a lesson plan. I've got to deal with this child that's misbehaving. Everything was a problem. So I found this book, What Do You Do with a Problem? That's what's on the screen there. And really, I have a whole different way of looking at problems. Why do we have problems? Why are there problems every day? Why do we look at them as problems? Do you feel like you're just always putting out a fire or fixing something? Are they really problems, or are they just everyday happenings? Most of teaching and parenting is simply problem solving and helping kids to learn. The next part was learning lives forever, and that it takes a village. And I love this quote on this first page. It said, education is for improving the lives of others and for leaving your community and world better than you found it. That's our goal. That should be everyone's goal.
So if we can kind of keep those three things in mind, we'll go through a few slides and see if we can have a chuckle or two and maybe impart just a little bit of what we've learned. Yeah, this one.
Rhea and I are always about the jokes, because if you don't laugh as a teacher, you're really not a teacher. If you don't have a good time, and if kids don't know that school is meant to be fun and learning's meant to be fun, then you've missed the boat. So this first one, every teacher makes the I'll wait face. I once had my principal, Randy Entz, brought the superintendent, Jim Johnson at the time, into my room, and they looked at my fourth graders and they said, what does Mrs. Wittwer do to get your attention? And I'll never forget this. Adam raises his hand and he goes, well, really nothing. No, wait. She gives us the look. And I thought, oh, didn't know I had the look.
But some of you might remember the look, right?
Hey, for sure.
On the other one, if you get tired, learn to rest, not quit. I have to truly confess, both of us are still kind of working on that one because of just by the nature of the beast. So the things we've learned about problem solving, it takes patience and time and persistence, kind of they're all together. In terms of patience, one of my kids said to me, I said, you need to have patience. And she said, I tried that once. That kind of is the epitome of what we need when it comes to patience, because the time invested and the patience invested sometimes kind of gets hung up a little bit. And persistence is hard, but persistence is what pays off. In terms of resilience, we notice that it's kind of been a buzzword. It comes and goes. It's popular. My classes always talked about how important it was to bounce back. And I think we know that about kids, both as teachers and as parents, that if kids don't know that they can survive anything. I had a student tell me once, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And someone sitting next to him said,
It's too hard.
yeah. They said, you can, you just don't want to. And I think that's a good way to look at it. Maybe I don't want to, but sometimes I have to do the hard things. And that to me spells out what resilience really is.
Patience needs to be from the teacher, whether you're a parent teaching or whether you're a teacher teaching, as well as the students. If you go into a first grade classroom today and you walk in, it's a race to finish. It's not how well you do something, it's that you were the first one done. We have to teach kids patience. We also have to teach them that it's okay to have hard things. Sometimes learning is hard, to be resilient and to keep trying. Watched a student teacher teach a math lesson, and she gave each student a little package of Skittles. And she had taught patterns in math, and she said, now I want you to make a pattern. And these little second grade students did 2 yellow, 2 green, 2 red, 2 yellow, 2 green, something like that. Or yellow, green, red, yellow, green, red. One student had no rhyme or reason with the color. And student teacher looked at me and went, what do I do now? And I walked over to the student and I said, tell me what your pattern is. And he said, this S goes this way, this S goes this way. Was that a pattern? Sure. Creative, critical thinking. He was probably thinking deeper than most of the students in the room, but his pattern didn't have to do with color. We need to be careful that we allow students to be creative and critically think about how to solve a problem.
I looked high and low because a picture in terms of problem solving was with my grandkids. And my granddaughter, they were probably age what? 3 and 6 or something like that. And my granddaughter was given the task of emptying the dishwasher. And I so wish I could have found this picture, because they were in their pajamas and her brother was standing up on the counter so she could hand him the dishes so he could put them away. And they had basically critically thought through how to best do this in the least amount of effort for anyone and solve their own problem. So our quote on this page is, the best teachers are those who show you where to look, but don't tell you what to see. It's pretty loaded. I think it's food for thought. All right, the one on the left, I think it speaks for itself. When people tell me that they don't have kids, that they're exhausted, you can just laugh.
I've taught a lot of different kinds of students. So this meme on the right, this joke on the right, what is it like trying to manage your classroom in May? What's it like trying to manage it in September, the week before Christmas, the day after Halloween? You know, what is it like? It's juggling balls. It's juggling to make sure everything gets done. I had a student that had a traumatic brain injury, and she used to walk in and say to me, Mrs. Wittwer, you've kind of outlived your usefulness today. And I'd go, Wendy, why did you say that to me? And she goes, I'm just keeping you awake. She was so delightful, but she was so perceptive about certain things. And we have all of these students and we have to juggle their needs and what comes next and what they're feeling and what homes they come from. And we have to juggle all of that. I always read at the beginning of the year the story, Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. It's a great book. This little boy goes with his mom and he loses his ice cream. And he doesn't get the shoes he wants. And he's the only one that has a cavity at the dentist. And then at the end it says, but tomorrow will be better. So remember, even though it's a tough day, tomorrow will be better.
Second thing that we have learned kind of collectively is that learning does indeed live forever. We didn't steal that from SUU. It's true. So some
This
of
is
the,
a picture of us.
yes, Go ahead. You're reading it now.
Okay, who says teaching is stressful? I'm 39 and I feel great. Ria's 40, I'm 39.
Yeah, right. Not only does learning live forever, the quest for learning to me can live forever. And I think that's probably why some of you are even here today. But in terms of those attributes that kids need to succeed in this area or to cultivate this, I know it sounds kind of weird that we can help them get an intrinsic hope. Intrinsic is something that comes from within, but it also can be taught and reinforced. And the idea that they have hope is patterned and modeled by us, and the fact that they have gratitude and they show gratitude are really important components as well. And you'll notice that we put find joy. We didn't say have joy. It doesn't automatically happen. And you've probably figured that out by now, but joy in the journey is just as important as joy at the end. So helping kids find joy and keep joy. You probably can remember when you've seen a child who mastered a task and they were so excited about what they had mastered. Kind of have to make sure that we reinforce those and make sure that they happen as often as possible.
Kids will only learn to love learning if you love teaching. And to love teaching, you have to change things up, and you have to know your students. You have to know their doubts. You have to know their worries. You have to know their quirks, their little tics, their idiosyncrasies. I had a young man that always got dropped off at 8 o'clock in the morning. School didn't start until 9. If I didn't give him a task, he was in trouble, always. And one day they came running in, Mrs. Wittwer, Mrs. Wittwer, Travis's tongue is stuck to the bar. And at South Elementary, it was a cold, cold morning in January, and he licked the bar and his tongue was stuck to the bar. Those are things that teachers have to deal with. Did I value Travis? You bet. He was an awesome student. And he had to know, I tried to not laugh, I'll be honest with you, when I walked out, because I thought, oh, only you. We need to value students and what they say and where they come from and their little tics. We need to love learning as teachers as well as students. We need to always model how to be kind and show respect. We need to value students' comments and their opinions. We need to make content relevant. When we teach lessons, make it relevant to a 3rd grader or a 6th grader or a 16-year-old. Make sure they know that you care about them and you value that they are there today. Always give them the why. This is why we're learning this. This is how this fits into your life as a 3rd grader. I was just going to say one more thing. Nope, that's good. Dream big. I read a book just recently and I can't remember the name of it. Sorry, but it was a tailor. And it was about a tailor, and he had 3 sons, and they made cloaks for the king. And he asked all of his 3 sons to make these beautiful cloaks for the king. And 2 of them made these fabulous cloaks, but the 3rd son did circles. And if you think about sewing circles together, you have holes, right, where the circles don't meet. And the tailor said, oh, you've blown it. This is horrible. This is awful. How can we do this? And one of the other sons says, no. This is beautiful. This is the way he thinks. We need to let him do that. And he made it into a beautiful covering for something. Anyway, the point of that story is, why do we not accept those for what they are? Make sure that you know who your students are and where they come from and what they need.
Sorry about that.
Nope, that's good. We're good.
Okay, that moment during a parent-teacher conference when you discover the apples don't fall far from the tree. What more can I say? I'm sure you've had some of those aha moments with parents.
And then the next one says, warning teachers, take time to sit down and relax for 10 minutes to eat your lunch. Or you could end up looking like this dog with your lunch all over your face or down your shirt or wherever. With that, I want to say, laugh, laugh, laugh. Laugh with your kids, laugh with your colleagues, laugh with your administration. Life is meant to be joyous. Life is meant to have fun. I remember Oprah Winfrey had her favorite teacher on the Oprah show, and the teacher walked out and she said, I didn't ever know she had a first name. And I think sometimes we don't let ourselves be known by our students. So let your students know you and some of your idiosyncrasies and some of your strange things, and they will love you for that. Okay, the third thing. Takes a village. It takes parents, Sometimes you want to think they're your worst enemy, but truly it takes parents, administrators, janitors, secretaries. I always said the secretary and the janitor need to be your two best friends. You need to build relationships with everyone in the building, strong relationships. I tell my students at SUU before I retired, you're only as good as the poorest teacher in your school. Make sure you lift them up. Make sure you're there for your colleagues and other teachers. I had a student that was hard. He was hard all the way through, and every year the teachers didn't want to have Jackson, poor Jackson. And one day I got to know Jackson really well, and he was in 5th grade. He was a Native American student, and his father had left the family and married a white woman. So he hated white women. And one day I went into, we always gave him a male teacher. Things worked out pretty well. I went into the classroom and he was causing a ruckus, and he had a little student teacher from SUU. And I said, come with me. And he said, restrain me. I said, I don't want to, just come with me. And he said, no, restrain me. So I restrained him all the way out in the hall so he could make a big show. And I got him down to my room and I got him on the floor. And I said, why are you doing this? Why are you acting up for this poor student teacher? And he said to me, he said, well, she's a member of the Ku Klux Klan. And I started to laugh. I shouldn't have, but I started to laugh. And I said, dude, you're in the wrong era here. We've done the wrong thing. And I said, why is she a member of the Ku Klux Klan? And he said, well, she's blonde. She's got that long blonde hair. And I looked at him and I said, well, I have red hair, so am I a member of the Ku Klux Klan? And he said, no, you have red hair. You're a woman of color. We laughed and laughed. I rolled over on the floor and we laughed. Jackson and I laid on the floor and we laughed. He got in trouble, went to a school that was for troubled youth. Didn't hear much about Jackson. That was 5th grade until one day I was teaching here at the university. I taught night classes. Came up from my night class, walked up the stairs, and I could see someone sitting in my office. Nobody around, just me. And I'm thinking, oh, makes me a little nervous, big shadow. I walk into the room and here sits this young man, young Native American man, grown. And I look at him and I'm thinking, I said, can I help you with something? I'm wondering why he's in my office. And he said, you don't remember me, do you? And I said, sure I do. Give me a hint. And he said, Ku Klux Klan. I said, Jackson. And he said, just wanted you to know I turned out I'm in college now. And I'm going to graduate and I'm the head firefighter for the tribe. And I thought, you never know. You never know when you make a difference. You never know who makes a difference in a student's life.
And I think that example covered pretty much everything on this page. Building the relationship with that child. I want to stress to, when I say frequent encouragement, make sure that you delineate praise from encouragement, because they're definitely not the same thing. Praise can be pretty empty, just great, good job. Encouragement is basically what it says, to add courage, to give the child something to work towards. And they need that validation when that happens. And so the idea is building those relationships, the sense of belonging. They really do all fit together.
Individualize. Make sure you touch every student every day in some way. Make sure they know that you noticed that they were there. Let them have their ideas. Let them talk to you about their ideas. See where those ideas are coming from, even if you don't agree with them. I once had a student that was a Jehovah's Witness, and he didn't salute the flag. Back in the day, we did salute the flag every morning in elementary school. And he was very uncomfortable. So I found him a job in the school. He gathered the absence slips from all the teacher during the time that we did that. This little cartoon on here says, when the teacher sends you to take something to another room and you run out of the room, I'm going on an adventure. He felt like that was an adventure and that he was needed and useful, that he was valued during that time. If you can make your students feel valued, they'll want to learn.
Okay, this post has been removed because it might cause offense. So please don't be offended by that meme. But we basically included it to remind us that we do need that resilience that we talked about earlier, that everyone can be offended every day by something or any day, but having resilience to not take it personally and be able to bounce back and stay productive is really what we should be focusing on, rather than one single behavior or lack thereof.
I found this other one. I saw this written in a school, and this should be posted in every school. Some kids are smarter than you. Some kids have cooler clothes than you. Some kids are better at sports than you. It doesn't matter. You have your thing too. Be the kid who can get along. Be the kid who is generous. Be the kid who is happy for others. Be the kid who does the right thing. Be the nice kid. And like we said at the beginning, that's our goal, is to create nice kids, to create good citizens, to help them be a part of the world and give back. I'm fairly sure that I learned a whole lot more from you guys and from my students throughout the years than you learned from me. I'm so proud of what you're doing and being there. You're giving back to society, and that's so important. I'll be your greatest cheerleader.
Yeah, forever. We can
Yeah.
both do that. And just out of caution, as we're kind of approaching a lot of these characteristics and attributes, everything that we've said thus far really means nothing if you don't care and you can't show the kids that you care. I had to look it up, and according to Google, Theodore Roosevelt's the one who first said what we all know: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. But I once had a friend just say to me, you know, Rhea, the only thing in this world that matters is how people feel. And I'd never heard that stated in that way before. So it kind of took me aback, and I've thought about it a lot over the years, and she was right. Our interactions with people are really all that matter, and how we make them feel and how we allow ourselves to feel by other people's activities and the way they treat us. And so everything that we do needs to model and help develop all of these attributes with kids. And again, if you care about them, it will come through loud and clear. We need to foster that feeling of camaraderie and emphasize some things much more than others. Okay, we just lost something. But
I had a student, I'll tell you one more story. I had a student, Ellis Cheney, who I dearly loved. He was sitting in my class. I was a brand new college professor, and I was sitting in a SPED class. I was teaching a SPED class, and I walked up in front and I went around the room and said, tell us your name and something about yourself. And we came to Ellis. He was probably late 50s at the time. And he said, I've been a school principal, a school assistant principal. I've taught elementary school. I've taught middle school. I've taught high school. I have 8 kids of my own. And I said, dude, what are you doing in this college class? And he said, well, I don't know if any of you are religious or how you feel about it, but he said, I am meant to be here and learn from you. And I kind of looked behind me to see if someone was standing behind me, but there was no one. And I thought, said, why would you say that? I said, I'm a brand new college professor. I'm not even sure I know what I'm doing. And he said, I don't know why, but I was meant to learn from you. And I have decided to come back and get a special ed degree. And then I'm going to go work with special needs students. Okay, wow. This man, throughout his entire married life, gave away $100 bill once a month. His wife was so angry with him, but he gave it to people that he felt needed it. He walked into a Walmart up north. He was to a conference, and there was a gal sitting outside holding a baby, and she was crying and the baby was crying. He said, can I help you with something? And she said, my baby has an ear infection. I can't afford to pay for the prescription. He handed her the $100 bill. He said this came back tenfold to him. And I think that that's the point that Rhea and I are trying to make, is we're here to make good people. We're here to try to help kids find their place in the world and know that they can be good citizens and truly care about other people. Ellis went on to be a special ed teacher after retiring from teaching all those years. And he gave away $100 a month for 50 years. And I'm thinking, wow. This man gave back, never asked for anything back. That's what we need to teach. Teaching isn't for wimps. It takes patience, takes courage, takes resilience, and most of all, it takes love.
And neither is parenting. And all that we've said thus far, not only is it for you to model and work with your children and your students, but it's to buoy each other up, whether you're an administrator, whether you're a colleague. So we usually start with the picture book, and she kind of had one to help us get started, but we'll end with one today, and then we'll have question and answer.
Let's end with this last.
And so it's written by Jamie Lee Curtis. Some of you, it's not brand new, but it's one of my favorites over time. And we'll share it and see if you have any comments. Done.
It's called, Is There Really a Human Race?
Is there really a human race?
Is it going on now all over the place? When did it start? Who said, ready, set, go?
Did it start on my birthday? I really must know.
Do I warm up and stretch?
Do I practice and train? Do I get my own coach? Do I get my own lane?
Do I race in the snow? Do I race in a twister?
Am I racing myself? Am I racing my sister?
If the race is a relay, is dad on my team? And his dad? And his dad? Do you know what I mean?
Is the race like a loop or an obstacle course? Am I a jockey or am I a horse?
Is there pushing and shoving to get to the lead? If the race is unfair, will I succeed?
Do some of us win? Do some of us lose? Is winning or losing something I choose? Why am I racing? Why am I winning? Does all of my running keep the world spinning?
If I get off track when I take the wrong turn, do I make my way back from my mistakes? Do I learn?
Is it a sprint, a dash to the end? Am I aware of the time that I spend? And why do I do it this zillion-yard dash? If we don't help each other, we're all going to
Crash!
Sometimes it's better not to go fast. There are beautiful sights to be seen when you're last. Shouldn't it be that you just try your best and that's more important than beating the rest? Shouldn't it be looking back at the end that you judge your own race by the help that you lend?
So take what's inside you and make big, bold choices. And for those who can't speak for themselves, use bold voices.
And make friends and love well, bring art to this place, and make the world better for
The whole human race.
Sorry, I think the illustrator is Lara Cottrell, but I'm not really sure, so
Yep.
you'll have
Cornell.
Cornell. So sorry about that.
So in conclusion, before we wrap this up and let you guys ask us some questions from the book, what do you do with the problem? I have discovered over my 30 plus years of teaching that they're really not problems. It's just life. And the book says at the end, so now I see problems differently. I am not afraid of them anymore because I know their secret. Every problem has an opportunity for something good. You just have to look for it. Your opportunity is to begin with the end in mind and build contributing citizens.
Peggy and Rhea, thank you so much for taking time out of your retirement schedule to be back on campus and share. I think it's wonderful to be able to connect former students, alumni with their mentors and educators. So thank you all. Happy Thanksgiving, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you.